How you guys doing, and welcome aboard the next video. Today we're going to take it a little bit easy because it's been a pretty rough week. My girl actually just recently had her gallbladder removed, and it's been a crazy week. I had to take her to the hospital in the middle of the night. But I'm going to be busy taking care of him and her, so I'm going to try and keep these videos as simple as possible for the next at least week or two. Anyways, in this video we're going to be talking about game pickups that I have, games that I found over the months, over the years. I'm just going to pick out a few of them. So the first game that we're going to be talking about is Eternal Champions, and it's actually worth about 10 bucks around about.
So for those that are unaware, Eternal Champions is actually a Sega game during a time where Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter were really taking on the market in the arcades. So Sega wanted to get on the action, and they created what is known as Eternal Champions. Now this is actually a hidden gem in my opinion, because this is actually a very fantastic game. But if you're expecting it to be a very easy fight, you're sadly mistaken. This game is very challenging, and there is practice mode, and there's championship mode. There is 2-player as well, so if anybody out there really wants to be able to play 2-player, they can do that. Eternal Champions does actually have what you can consider a fatality, but you have to really know what to do, and in order to pull it off, you actually have to play the character that is linked to the environment that you're fighting. So it is a little bit different, but it does have a fatality, although it really depends on what level you're on and if you have the right character that's based to that level. My favorite part to this whole game is where, in the beginning credits, they actually beat the living crap out of the Sega logo. I actually find that ironically hilarious. Now, despite the difficulty and everything, if you are willing to actually go through all of that with all the difficulty, it's actually a really great game. Highly recommend it. It's actually a really good gem.
The second game we're going to be talking about is Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! The copy of Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Usually goes for roughly about $28.
This game, as we all know, is like very iconic. I mean, who doesn't know Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! This game was very popular in the arcades when I was a kid. I mean, I remember sticking my arm through the 2 plastic gloves and just shaking my arm really fast, and you would beat the crap out of every fighter by doing that. It was a lot of fun. Now, I did try to look for a picture of that arcade machine on Google, but I couldn't find anything that even resembles it. I know it existed. I played it many times as a kid in the skating ring in the arcade in the mid to late 90s. I'm fairly certain that it was the Mike Tyson version, because I do remember Mike Tyson being in the arcade game that I saw. But if anybody else can remember along with me those arcade games where it was just these overgrown gloves that were like joysticks, and you would just grab both of them and just jerk them back and forth, and you had to duck and weave by moving the joysticks left and right. Well, I couldn't find a picture of that arcade anywhere on the internet. Nowhere. And I know they existed because I played them so many times. But anyways, if anybody else knows what I'm talking about, that way I know I'm not going crazy. This game was definitely challenging growing up as a kid. Everybody would always try to beat each other's scores, trying to get there the quickest, to get all the way up to Mike Tyson and beat his ass. But it was always really hard, and a lot of times we'd never even make it to the last round, to the last fight. I think one of the interesting things about Mike Tyson's Punch-Out! Is that they made a certain amount of copies until Mike Tyson's arrest. After Mike Tyson got arrested, the creators, Nintendo, and what they ended up doing after his arrest was they tried to distance themselves from him as much as possible.
And then you have the regular Punch-Out! Now, this regular Punch-Out! Is usually about $15.
There's not a whole lot to really add to that. The only thing that should be noted is that they replaced Mike Tyson in the final fight with Mr. Dream.
So the next game we're going to be talking about is RBI Baseball. RBI Baseball is usually worth about $8.
RBI Baseball was like the baseball game of the 90s on console. Like no other game could ever get anywhere near it. Like it was just really good. Well, maybe except for the time they made the Super Baseball Simulator 1000 on the Super Nintendo. Now that was a game changer in games. The thing about RBI Baseball is that it wasn't MLB approved, but it was approved by the ball players as a part of the Major League Baseball Player Association. So in the game, you had all of the Major League player names in the game, but you didn't have the big leagues team names. You just had their city names. Now I remember this game very, very well because in, I think, 1995 was the first time I ever had a console, and that was the Nintendo on the NES. And my dad, we were stationed in Germany during this time. I was an army brat. He actually got us an NES, me and my brother. And with the NES, he got us RBI Baseball. So needless to say, for like 3-4 months, we were playing RBI Baseball for like days. And it was just so much fun, and he thought it was like the coolest thing for us to really be into baseball because he loves baseball. So he thought it was fitting for that to be our first game. The game that I played after that was Super Mario Bros. 3, and that's when things really hit the fan for me in gaming. But anyways, RBI Baseball was a whole hell of a lot of fun, and there had been different attempts made, terrible ones I might add, on trying to make a really good baseball game for the Nintendo, and they never worked out. This was probably the only one that did.
Nope.
This was one that I loved playing. It could be challenging and it could be easy. It just depended on what you were doing, how skillful you were getting at the game, and how well you started to learn the controls. It was a really phenomenal game for its time.
Now I'm going to talk to you guys about Sled Storm. This one typically goes for about $7.50.
The thing about Sled Storm for me is that it was another one of those games that will always be remembered, because on Christmas in 1999, this was one of the games that I actually got for Christmas. This is the game that actually got me into music, actually, believe it or not, because in this game you have stuff like Rob Zombie, 9 Inch Nails, and things like that. It had a really, really good soundtrack in it. It was actually off the freaking hook. Now the cool thing is, you know, Sled Storm, you're basically going around in snowmobiles racing, and you can crash and just smack your face and stuff on all sorts of crap. And it was just a lot of fun because it was basically just racing up and down mountaintops and on the sides of mountains. It was actually really cool. It was all snow, obviously, because it's freaking Sled Storm and it's a freaking snowstorm and a freaking snowmobile. But anyways, I thought it was really cool. I love this game. I actually played it for like 2 hours the other day. I really love this game. I mean, it's really good. Even today, I enjoy it. And you could like do flips and some tricks to it as well, like, you know, doing the Superman on it, all sorts of really cool stuff, like you would see with dirt bikes. You know, this game is really awesome. I love this game. And, you know, you can upgrade your vehicle. You know, every vehicle has certain stats. Every character has certain stats. It's just, I thought it was really cool to have that kind of stuff.
So the next game we're going to be talking about is Star Wars Episode 1 Jedi Power Battles for the PlayStation 1. This one can go anywhere between $8 and $9.
Okay, I know what you guys are thinking. Star Wars Episode 1 game. You're an idiot. I know what you guys are thinking, okay? But I'm telling you, this one is actually, out of all the games that they have done, this one would actually be worth it to a degree. The reason why is because you can play different Jedi in it. Each of them have different Force abilities. And I just thought it was the coolest thing to play as Mace Windu and just have your lightsaber flying all around him, and it would literally deflect anything and straight back from where it came from. I thought it was like the coolest thing. But every Jedi has different abilities in this game, and it was like a whole lot of fun. And you had to play the game and beat it more than one time to get their abilities up higher and higher and higher. It was a challenging game if you were up to the challenge, and it was a lot of fun. It wasn't a hard game either unless you up the difficulty level, but other than that, it was a game that you still had to play more than one time, beat more than one time, just to max out your abilities, so that way once you actually play through a game, you can kill everything in one shot everything. But it took like 2 or 3 times of beating the game before you could get up to that level. I just thought it was really cool, and I'm just going to share that with you guys if you want to check this out and you thought it was bull or a piece of junk when you saw it as a kid or whatever. If you haven't played this game, just go ahead, give it a try. It's not that expensive. Anyways.
Now, I've noticed that a lot of people have been subscribing to my channel through my video games monthly unboxing videos, so for those people out there who watch those and probably watching this maybe, don't forget I also do other videos as well that all deal with retro games. I do 3 videos a week if my schedule allows it. I usually do about 3 videos a week, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. But like I said, a recent video that I did was the history of the first-person shooter games, or the genre itself, how it was created all the way up to where it is today, and there's 2 parts to that. And then there's something that I created called Game Overboard, which is where I talk about crap games and I talk trash about them. Still working on the humor. I'm trying not to be too crude because not everybody likes that kind of stuff, so I'm trying to tone that down. And I do have, every once in a while, I have 1 or 2 jokes that I think are okay, but they're really not, so I'm still working on that. Anyways, I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to go ahead and subscribe if you really like what I do. Don't forget to check out my other videos, and clicking that like button really does help out. So as always, remember 22 and stay classy, bros.
Continue.